Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And for this month, we have actually began a new month, actually. I should have said this week, but anyways, you know what I am talking about. Yes, we are in a new month, and it looks like this seems to be another time where we're just beginning the month absolutely wild, because this is a time that for some reason the internet just exploded and there's just mass hysteria going on social media. But first, we will be covering a few other major things that did happen this week. So don't you worry, people, because there will be plenty to go and talk about. There's going to be a lot of things that we will be covering, and I'm sure it's all gonna come together in order to create one wild episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, with all that said, I would like to go into the chat wall. And it's time that I would like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Do you have the comments prepared? Let's see now. Yes? Okay. Oh, there they are. Yes, that's beautiful. That's what I want to see. People are all prepared. People are all set for this. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to see. So let me just put my mic down. There we go, just to get things closer, just so you can hear me a little more clearer. So with that said and done, I believe it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And first and foremost, what I would like to go and start things off with this episode is going to be regarding award season. Yes, this has been heavily delayed due to the pandemic, but now it is now time that we shall go and actually begin award season. And of course, when we would have to go and start things off, we have to go and officially begin with the main appetizer of the award shows. It's always the first one to go and begin this. So with that said, let's go and start this one off by talking about the Golden Globes. Yes, last Sunday, as I am recording this, it was the 2021 Golden Globe Awards, or the 78th Annual Golden Globe Awards, to which, apparently the show, I haven't personally seen it myself, but there's been a lot of different reactions to what happened. Generally, I heard that the show itself was kind of crap, but of course there are some notable highlights that did occur. And especially with the winners, we do have an interesting list that we have in store. Of course, in terms of television, the big winners were Schitt Creek and also, The Crown? Of course, The Crown being the big winner of it all. But in terms of feature films, that's a bit of another story, because apparently this year we just got a wide variety of different winners. In fact, the grand majority of them are all just one movie walking away with one Golden Globe, and that's it. Very rarely do we actually have a feature that actually has more than one Golden Globe walking away with two. One of them, however, seems to be quite a bit of a big surprise, and that's going to be the main one that we shall be focusing on, and that is none other than Pixar's Soul. Yes, it is official. Pixar is actually the, where the fridge is it? Ah, there we go. Okay, Best Motion Picture Animated. All right, yes. Pixar, predictably, is the big winner of this year's Golden Globe Awards for Best Animated Feature, to which it competed against other notable animated films such as The Croods: A New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, and Wolfwalkers. It was something that everyone knew that Pixar was going to be the winner of it, but then again, even though it's predictable, a big part of it is because it was very well merited. Even to this day, some people consider it as one of, if not the best Pixar film that they have released. And that's a major title to claim. And even I personally agree that it's definitely up there among one of Pixar's all-time bests. But Even though this one is a little bit predictable, what's actually quite a surprise is the fact that this is not the only category that Soul actually won. Because moving up a little bit, it was also noted to be the big winner for Best Original Score. I think I went a little too high. Hold on a sec. Nope, that's Best Animated. Where the fridge is it? It's not in order. Okay, there we go. Found it. Yes. Soul actually came out as the winner as well for Best Original Score, giving the trophy to Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, and John Baptiste. And on that one, this is where Soul actually got a bit more serious competition, where it was up against The Midnight Sky, Tenet, News of the World, and Mank. But on top of that, actually, before I continue, I just want to go and quickly state, I actually did some quick research on this, and I was actually surprised to find that technically this is a little bit of a historical moment, because this actually marks the first time in years that an animated feature actually won multiple Golden Globes. This has not happened back since the first Frozen movie, where that won 2 Golden Globes for Best Animated Feature and Best Song for Let It Go. And ever since then, it was always just an animated film only walking away with 1 Golden Globe, and that is for the Best Animated Feature category. So this is a little bit of a big deal that Soul actually did manage to walk away with 2 Golden Globes. But also, another interesting to note on that factor is regarding the fact that this year, Soul is only one of 3 movies that actually walked away with 2 Golden Globe Awards, or at least multiple Golden Globes. Just gonna go down into the Wikipedia page, and as you could tell, movies actually walked out with several Golden Globe Awards. It's not the kind where there's just one movie that sweeped everything. It's just mostly focused on just giving them individually to a few, and it just so happened to be a bit of a coincidence if some of them ended up walking away with 2. Or in this case right here, these are actually 3 completely different movies where, in their respective category, it was for sure they were going to win because it was kind of like the Best Picture category, and then they got 1 little extra, which is the case with Soul, where it won for Best Animated Feature, and then it won for Best Score. Then you also got Nomadland, in which that one won for Best Picture for the drama category, as well as Best Director. And then you also got Borat's subsequent movie film, where that won for Best Picture for musical or comedy, and also won for Best Actor in a musical or comedy for Sacha Baron Cohen's performance as Borat. So, first of all, let's go ahead and take a closer look into Soul's win. As I said before, and as I said many times in the past, this is not a big surprise that Soul was the big winner. And I mean, this is really a case where Soul didn't really have that much competition in the first place, because yeah, like, say what you will about like some of the other categories like Cruise the New Age, Onward, or Over the Moon. Yeah, like some of them are pretty good, but they're nowhere near the levels of Soul. The only true competition that it actually had is actually Wolfwalkers, and even at that, I can't really imagine the Hollywood Foreign Press actually give the Best Animated Feature Golden Globe to a foreign animated film, which kind of makes it very ironic for the Hollywood Foreign Press, if you get what I mean. So, in fact, actually, like, going a little bit more into that, the thing is that they only just started to get used to commonly nominate foreign animated features to be a part of the Best Animated Feature category. That's why we're starting to see a little bit more happening than usual. Beforehand, when they did start making that category, they would go and just focus on the mainstream films, like with the only ones that are from the big name studios. Normally, the Best Animated Feature category used to be reserved for that, but nowadays, however, it looks like the category now they're more open to go and nominate some independent animated features or some foreign animated films, including stuff like My Life as a Zucchini, The Breadwinner, and several others as well. And now we also got Wolfwalkers. So it's pretty obvious Wolfwalkers would be nominated, but unfortunately, at the same time, it's obvious that Wolfwalkers wouldn't actually get the win at the same time. So, of course, the only true winner in that case would have to be Soul. But then again, I would say like I said before, the biggest surprise of this is the fact that Soul actually walked away with not just one Golden Globe, but two for Best Original Score. And for that one, some people may say that it does make a lot of sense, technically, considering that Soul is a movie in which a big theme is regarding music. Considering that the main character, Joe Gardner, his passion is all about jazz music and playing the piano, and that is a key component throughout the feature film. Like, even though it's not about music, like, it is used as a prominent example about its themes about living life and why they say why they created the term jazzing as a way to just live your life however you want. So, of course, there would actually be careful attention in terms of the music and really emphasize that jazz element. And honestly, I am actually glad to see that it actually did win that one as well, considering that those were the only categories that Soul was nominated. It was just for Best Animated Feature and Best Score, and they did manage to walk away with both. So it really was a pleasant surprise, and some people were quite shocked, and some people consider that either a surprise or a bit of a snub, considering there was the other movie that that two of the three composers also worked on that they did get nominated, which is Mank. Some people thought that one would be the big winner, but in this case here, it turns out Soul was the big one. And that's also a funny thing, considering that technically Mank was the movie that got the most nominations in this year's Golden Globes, more so than any other. And Mank didn't even walk away with a single one because it all went to different categories. So it will be interesting to see if there would be a chance if we'll also find that Soul could actually be a legitimate competitor for the Oscars. If they could actually go and get that win as well, that would actually be quite amazing, you know? That would be great to see, really make Soul a movie to really stand out, not just for Best Animated Feature, but also a competitor for other categories in order to walk away with several trophies. And for me personally, as someone who loves Soul, I think it would definitely be worth it. But with that said, there are also the other categories that I feel like are very fascinating to go and check out as well. Not just regarding the element of Soul, but the fact that we have seen plenty of different winners from so many different movies, whether it be The Life Ahead, the Life Ahead. Sorry, I don't know why I'm not capable of speaking right now. You also got Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya's win. You also got the Mauritanian as well for Jodie Foster's win. Then you got I Care a Lot. The United States versus Billie Holiday with Andra Day winning for Best Actress, which also makes it the second time in Golden Globes history that a black woman actually won for the Best Actress category, with the first being Whoopi Goldberg. Then you also got, of course, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with Chadwick Boseman's win, and then you got the others as well. And some people right now, like, considering that we just went through the Golden Globes, the big question remains, what does this mean for the Oscars? Because usually people would use the Golden Globes as a little bit of an indicator of what's going to happen at the Oscars, a little bit of a prediction in order to help them see if what matches in the Golden Globes will also match in the Oscars. And more often than not, it doesn't necessarily, but this is a little bit of a clue to what we should expect in the upcoming Oscars, which is going to be happening in less than 2 months. And from what I see, I think one thing that will be emphasized is going to be the fact that diversity is going to be a major issue because, as we all know, diversity has often considered to be a massive problem with these award shows, whether it be the Golden Globes or the Oscars. In fact, this year, the Golden Globes did get into massive controversy due to the fact that normally they would go and not like actually I think trying to remember what the controversy was. Yes, okay, now I got it. The big thing with the controversy with the Golden Globes is that among its members, among the Hollywood foreign press, none of them are actually black people, which is ironic for a committee that is supposed to represent like the movies of the world, the Hollywood foreign press, with members all around the globe, and yet not one black person seems to be involved among the membership in there. So that is actually something that they did have to go and heavily address. So of course, one way that they try to go and resolve it is actually give black people a bunch of Oscars, and that's where, not Oscars, but Golden Globes. And that's where we do see a lot of the diversity really be emphasized, especially in the actors category, where we got Daniel Kaluuya's win for Judas and the Black Messiah. We also got Andrea Day's win with the United States versus Billie Holiday. But then there is one thing for sure that I could say is a guaranteed thing that will happen at the Oscars, and that's going to be regarding Chadwick Boseman for his performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, because as we all know, several months ago, Chadwick Boseman did unfortunately pass away due to cancer. And especially with the way that people highly look up to him, not just as a person, but also as an actor, especially after the wonderful performance that he brought out with Black Panther, I think it's pretty much going to be an obvious decision that they got to give Chadwick Boseman the win as a way to respect his legacy and kind of like a send-off to his acting career, like really signify that his his last major performance deserves to have an Oscar. It's kind of like in the similar way how Heath Ledger won the Oscar for his performance as the Joker. So I think that's more of an obvious thing that they have to do. It doesn't necessarily have to do anything with diversity, but I believe it's something that's pretty obvious that they got to do, because let's be honest, if not, there would honestly be some serious backlash to either award shows if they did not give it to Chadwick Boseman or anything like that. But yeah, so of course, as I said before, diversity is going to be a major factor in terms of who's going to be getting these awards, especially the big ones. And not to mention how Best Director as well. I think that's also going to be something that will be reserved at the Oscars as well. Like something that would most likely happen is regarding Best Director with Chloe Zhao. That's another element that would play a major factor in terms of diversity, giving an Oscar not just to a woman, but also to an Asian woman, a woman of color. So that would probably be a big deal to go and give it to her, and especially with something like Nomadland. That's actually not an easy thing to say. Even like when I was rehearsing before, and even like when just looking into stuff with this movie, it's honestly hard to say. Nomadland. Somehow it's like a legitimate tongue twister there. But speaking of Nomadland, honestly, I would have to say if I would have to go and predict what's going to be the Best Picture winner, I think it's honestly gonna have to be Nomadland. I think that's gonna be the big one, considering that we already see that for Best Picture Drama, it's obviously gonna go to Nomadland. It's already been given in terms of the Golden Globes. It's already been getting so many high praises from critics, and a lot of people are already saying that this is going to be the big winner that is going to be getting Best Picture across the board in several different places. So honestly, if I would have to put money on it, I gotta go with Nomadland. I think that's gonna be the big one. I don't think that's gonna be the one that will be sweeping all the different awards. Like, I'll say, as I said before, I think it's pretty obvious that they are going to give it to either, they're gonna reserve it for Best Director and maybe for Best Picture, but it's going to be the one that will walk away with like the biggest awards. Honestly, I can't really imagine that they would do the same thing with Borat's subsequent movie film. I mean, I have heard amazing things about that movie, but I can't really imagine it really walking away with an Oscar for anything major like Best Picture or something like that. I can guarantee you it will be getting nominations, but I think the Academy ain't going to be as keen to giving it that much awards, and especially considering the fact that in this case right over here, I don't think we're going to see Borat perform the same way at the Oscars like they did in the Golden Globes, especially when in the Golden Globes they do separate it from dramas and musical or comedies. So like, yeah, Borat did dominate in the musical or comedy category with Best Actor for Sacha Baron Cohen, as well as for Best Picture for musical or comedy. But when you're gonna pit them together, I don't think Borat would have a chance against Nomadland. So that's pretty much my entire thoughts so far, or at least a good chunk of my thoughts with what we have, at least with the movies for the Golden Globe Awards. And overall, I would say, even though I personally don't really care all that much about the Golden Globes, it is nice to see that Soul ended up coming out as the big winner this year. And it definitely did deserve it. And it really was a nice surprise to see all getting another Golden Globe for Best Original Score. So I just want to say congratulations to the team at Pixar for the major win they got with Soul, and congratulations to all the nominees for this year's Golden Globes. So we shall wait and see with how things are with round 2 coming later. Well, but whenever the next big award show is going to be. I'm not going to say the Oscars just yet, because keep in mind, award season has just begun. So we just got to go and take it one step at a time. We'll see what happens with round 2. All right, so with that said and done, I think it's now time that I shall go into the chat wall. And it's time to go and ask you all, what do you think about Soul winning Best Animated Feature at the Golden Globes? And if you have any additional thoughts about some of the winners of the Golden Globe Awards this year, let me know what you think. Okay. Now, let's see what we got here. Soul is no surprise, and not really for original score. Also, to clarify, Frozen did not win the Globe for Let It Go. It went to U2 for the song Ordinary Love for Mandela Love Walk to Freedom. Really? Dang, then what? Okay, all right, I'll admit, like, maybe I was wrong, but if that's the case, when was the last time that we have seen an animated film winning more than one Golden Globe? Was it Up or something like that? I don't know. It's hard to really know about these things. Like, seriously, I thought Frozen did win the Golden Globe for Let It Go. However, honestly, that kind of surprised me. I don't know. Someone's wrong here, but we'll see what it is. Anyways, but even if people want to see Wolfwalkers to win or something, the closest I could see is at the BAFTAs, but Soul is going to be sweeping no matter what. The only thing I just hope is that Chloe Zhao doesn't get discriminated from some racist people since she was born in China. Oh yeah, unfortunately, that might happen by the time the Oscars is going to roll around, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's just going to be something that we will have to wait and see in terms of those reactions. But I know when it's going to be time for the Oscars, that's when the reactions will definitely be amplified. Even from people who claim that they don't care about award shows, they'll definitely be talking about who won in terms of the Oscars and really lay down their thoughts. Let's see now. What else do we got here? While yes, it is nice that Soul and Chadwick Boseman got wins this year, I'm honestly the wrong person to ask about the rest of the awards. I was boycotting the Golden Globes this year because of the nominations of Sia's offensive passion project Music. I should mention I am an autistic person myself, and I am not supporting neurotypical continuing to stereotype us. Oh yeah, that's another mess right there, and that's another controversial aspect, is the fact that What was it? Yeah, best original song that it did get a nomination. Where was it? Just want to double check. Hold on a sec. Sorry. Let me just go and quickly double check. Where are the music here? Where are the songs? Just want to double check. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, I think. Is it here? Wait, where is it? No, it's not in best original song. Where did it get nominated? Hold on a sec. I know music did get a nomination. Which one is it though? Which one? Did people actually find, best motion picture? No. Where is it? Did it, like, I know you guys are not making it up. Do we know? Oh, Kate Hudson and Pest Picture. Oh, okay. Oh, right. It's one of the performances. Oh, I see. Hold on a sec. I think hold on. I'm gonna get there somewhere. I need to find it specifically. No, best director, best motion picture, best actor, best actress. Dang it! I can't find it. Where the fridge is it? Dang it! I'm trying to find it. It's best supporting. Yeah, like according to you guys, you're saying it's best actress in a supporting. Wait a minute. I can't find it. Where did it go? Seriously, where did it go? Okay. Some people are just trolling and just like writing down. Like seriously, where did it? Control F, then write music. Okay, yeah. Someone put up the best answer. Okay, music. There we go. Let's see now. Musical? Nope. Musical? Nope. No. Ah, there. Oh, schnut. Best motion picture in musical or comedy. Oh, wow. You're really going that high with it. Wow. Okay. Jeez. I should have checked a little bit closer, but that is kind of a shock. Are you sure it didn't get anything else? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so it is. There we go. So, there it is. Oh, best actress overall. Dang, you're really giving it the big awards there. Yeah, that's a yikes, man. That's quite a yikes. That's a nope right there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I understand like the troubling aspect, and that's also another major controversy is the fact that it did recognize music. Like, honestly, I was thinking just more in the music categories. But then again, this is also the same award show where it also did give a nomination to that terrible original song that they wrote for the Cats movie. So, honestly, it's not that much of a surprise that they would pull off a stupid move like that. All right, anyways, let's see what else we got here. Well, let's be real. Who didn't see that coming? Not to say that it didn't deserve it. It's still a spectacular film, and I'm definitely surprised by its best original score win. I was honestly expecting Tenet to win. As for the other wins, I'm glad Chadwick got a win since his performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was so damn good. And I guess now we could say that one award that Hamilton ever lost to was to Borat. Yeah, that's definitely true. Hamilton didn't perform as well as it did at the Tony Awards 4 years ago. Yeah, that's Borat just completely overshadowing the two categories that it was nominated for: best motion picture for musical or comedy, and for best actor, where it went to Sacha Baron Cohen instead of Lin-Manuel Miranda. That is kind of a shocker right there. But then again, considering the type of movie that it is and the fact that it was released on Disney Plus, it's kind of a surprise in general that it even got a nomination in the first place. So that's already kind of a win in itself. Let's see what else we got here now. Soul's animated feature win wasn't a big shocker, but I was really impressed to hear about its win for best score. If you don't already know, Trent Reznor is the front man for the band Nine Inch Nails. Also, I'm happy that Borat 2 beat out music for best musical or comedy, considering the controversy surrounding music. Yeah, that's the thing. Say what you will about Borat, but at least it's not music. That's probably the best thing that you could say about it. Let's see now. What else we got? I might as well go with one more comment before we jump into the next story now. I am glad Soul won the Golden Globe, but I still think Onward should have won as well, since that movie was very underrated in my opinion. But Soul is my favorite movie, so I think it deserved the Golden Globe. But yeah, if Onward came out a year later than it would have won. But I am so glad Soul won, since it definitely deserved it, because it really is Pixar's most matured movie and really wasn't that surprising. Well, then again, I don't know if you could say that if Onward was released like this year, it would have won. That's still highly debatable, and especially the fact that the year has just begun and we only started to get some animated features for this year, or at least the big ones, considering as I am recording this, Raya and the Last Dragon was only released yesterday. So that's a major thing to debate. But yeah, like I said before, though, congratulations to the team at Pixar, and congratulations to all the winners and to all the nominees as well. Let's see how things go next year for the Golden Globes. All right, so now let's go and jump onto the next story that we have over here. And with the next one that I have, it's going to be regarding, once again, another award show. But this time around, this is something that animation fans are really keeping an eye on. Yes, this is going to be regarding animation's biggest night. The time to go and award the animators and the artists working on some special different animated projects. And what I'm talking about is regarding the Annie Awards. And this year, it looks like the big animation battle will definitely be amplified. As we all know, throughout different award ceremonies and different Critics' Choice Awards and stuff like that, we know that the big animation battle is between Soul and Wolfwalkers. And that is especially the case at the Annie Awards, where both of them came out as the top contenders with 10 nominations each. And before I continue looking into some of the other categories, let's go ahead and actually check out the big categories that the Annie Awards has brought out. So I got my Wikipedia page, which did list down all the different nominations that are featured at this year's Annie Awards. And I'll start things off with the nominees for Best Student Film. And they are 100,000 Acres of Pine, Coffin, La Bastille, Latitude du Printemps, and Oh Black Hole. Next up, let's go into Best Sponsored Project, or Best Sponsored Production, or in this case, as we all know it as Best Commercial. Estree's group Edgar Christmas, Max and Maxine, The Last Mill, There's a Monster in My Kitchen, and Travel the Vote. Then next up we got Best Animated Short, in which that one, the nominees are Fille Bleue par Blanche, KKUM, or Cocoon, I don't know how to say it, Souvenir, Souvenir, The Places Where We Live, Cake, and finally, World of Tomorrow Episode 3, The Absent Destinations of David Prime. Next up, we got Best Animated Special Production. So whatever variety there is out there that does require it to be like a major animation production, that's where they go and put the nominations. And they are Baba Yaga, Libres Body Form, #Womb Stories, Nixie and Nimbo, Shoom's Odyssey, and The Snail and the Whale. Now, next up, what we got is going to be the animated TV shows, the animated series that got nominated. And first off, let's go and check out the preschool shows. And the nominees for those are Buddy, Muppet Babies, Still Water, The Adventures of Paddington, and finally, Xavier Riddle and the Secret Museum. Next up, let's go into the Best Animated Series for Kids. And for those ones, they are Hilda, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and finally, Victor and Valentino. Next up, we got the big boys. Yes, the adult animated series, or Best General Audience Animated Series. And the nominees for those are Close Enough, Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, Harley Quinn, Rick and Morty, and The Midnight Gospel. And then finally, we got the movies, in which it is split into two for the indies and the mainstreams. And the nominees for Best Independent Animated Feature Film are A Shaun the Sheep Movie, Farmageddon, Calamity Jane, Ongaku R Sound, Ride Your Wave, and finally, Wolfwalkers. Then finally, last and certainly not least, in fact it's the biggest one of them all, Best Animated Feature. And the nominees are Onward, Soul, The Croods: A New Age, The Willoughbys, and finally, Trolls World Tour. And of course, as I said before, the biggest competitors is pretty much the big indie animated film, Wolfwalkers, and the big mainstream animated film, Soul. But there are plenty of others as well that did actually collect several nominations for themselves. Just going down here, apparently, there was also Onward that did walk out in second place in terms of the number of nominations it got, with 7 nominations. Then following afterwards, we got 3 different movies that did get 6 nominees, which, by the way, they are missing one in this Wikipedia page. Hopefully they will fix that later, which is Over the Moon, Willoughbys, and The Croods: A New Age. Following afterwards, we got A Shaun the Sheep Movie, Farmageddon, collecting 3 nominees, along with Calamity Jane. And then finally, Earwig and the Witch and Ride Your Wave has managed to walk off with 2 nominations. Now, this is honestly a pretty interesting list that we do got here. And let me just go and start things off with the best television category, where we actually do have a major list of different nominations, especially like when it comes to the Annie Awards. They really do define diversity in terms of like really not just giving it to different TV shows, but also giving it a lot to many, giving nominations to many different TV shows. So we do see a massive variety, and that's why we don't really have that much of a list of like how many nominations did one TV show actually get, mainly because it's just really all over the place. But we do see like several repeating ones, such as Hilda, or even Harley Quinn, or stuff, or even like, even in the categories, we are starting to see TV-based movies and some like little animated shorts that you would find on streaming services be nominated. Like, I do see Pixar's Lamp Life getting a nomination. I also see the Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe, the Looney Tunes cartoons getting nominated as well. Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, also getting a nomination. And by the way, one thing I will say that is quite a surprise, and something that is a little bit different than before, is actually one that doesn't seem to be that much of a major competitor this year, is actually the Mickey Mouse cartoons. Because when you do look back onto the previous Annie Awards, usually a big competitor is those Mickey Mouse cartoons, and often coming out with several Annie Awards. But this year, it's kind of rare to actually go and find a nomination for the recent Mickey Mouse cartoons, or in this case, The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse that's on Disney+. So far, I can only find one so far with Best Directing for an animated production, and it's still got some major competitors like Alan Wan for Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Genndy Tartakovsky with Primal, and several others as well. So it's kind of a surprise that Mickey Mouse is not as big of a competitor with the new Disney Plus series as much as before with the previous shorts. But then again, I guess it's mainly because we are seeing several different major competitors, especially from streaming services like the Looney Tunes cartoons, as well as Lamp Life being a bigger competitor than I expect, like actually getting not just one but several nominations at the same time. But then we also got the movie category, and in terms of the movie category, this is where things get a little bit sticky. Like, we know that there have been a lot of movies that do get a massive handful of nominations. In fact, one thing that I will say is quite a surprise to see at this year's Annies is the way that, in a sense, you could say that it is going a bit rogue with its Best Animated Feature category, where normally the Netflix representation would be over the moon. That's what we have been seeing with the Golden Globes. We have been seeing with plenty of other award ceremonies and critics' choices and stuff like that. They usually go with Over the Moon, but in this case here, they're actually giving it to the Willoughbys. And even though Over the Moon did get a whole bunch of different individual awards that, yeah, so a lot of them are definitely understandable, but it's surprising to see that the Annies would go and prefer the Willoughbys than Over the Moon, which personally I don't mind because, in my opinion, I actually do find the Willoughbys to be a much more enjoyable film than Over the Moon, despite the fact that, yeah, Over the Moon is like, it has beautiful animation, probably some of the best in Netflix. But then again, the Willoughbys does have a much better story. So, yeah, it's interesting, but it's nice to see that they would actually have that here. Also, another weird surprise that I gotta say is actually regarding Farmageddon. The fact that, yes, we do see the Shaun the Sheep movie Farmageddon getting nominated, but not among Best Animated Feature. It's apparently a part of the independent animated films now, which is kind of weird because it is from Aardman. It is from a highly prominent animation studio, a highly well-known and renowned studio that have made some of the most well-known stop-motion creations of all time, like Wallace and Gromit and stuff like that. But seeing it be as part of the independent group, like, especially when technically they even listed that technically this is like a collab with Studio Canal, Aardman, and even Netflix as well, and yet it ends up in the independent feature. That's kind of like, I guess there's like some strange rules that it would have to go and apply, but it is surprising to see that it would definitely be a part of this. Now, if I would have to go, there is one more thing that I want to mention, actually, that I find to be very interesting in terms of the nominations, and I think one that people should really keep an eye out for is actually regarding the best animated series for kids. Because in this one, it looks like they have nominated a whole bunch of shows that are series finales, like their own grand finale, with stuff like The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and I believe Star Wars Clone Wars as well. Like, that one is more for its grand finale. So that's going to be a big battle to see. And already I've seen in the chat wall people getting excited and freaking out because of the fact that stuff like either Hilda or She-Ra just got a nomination. So already people are really excited to see who is it that's actually going to get nominated, or who's actually going to get the win. But that will definitely be one to keep an eye out for. But then there's going to be the big winner. And I think in this case here, considering that it is both Soul and Wolfwalkers that did come out with the most nominations, I think it's going to be no surprise that they're also going to walk out with their big wins. Like, it's for sure Wolfwalkers is going to be the winner for Best Independent Animated Feature, and Soul is going to be walking out with the big win for Best Animated Feature. But in terms of all the other awards, who's going to be the one that's going to collect the most Annie Awards? Honestly, I'm just going to go and make a prediction right now and just say that I would not be surprised to see Soul walking away with the most nominations. Probably walking away with maybe 8 or 9 of its nominations. Now, I know that may sound excessive, but you gotta understand how the Annie Awards are, and in a way, they're very much, how can I put this? You see, the Annie Awards is very biased. Usually, when there is a movie that they particularly like, they really hand out all the awards to that one movie in particular. It's actually quite rare to see a time when they would diversify their wins, where one movie gets a good chunk of awards, then you see another movie get a good chunk of awards and all that kind of stuff. At least in terms of the movies. It's not like how they would hand them out like with the TV shows. With the movies, there is one clear winner, and it's obvious of who it is. We have seen this in the past, especially when it comes to movies such as Inside Out, with Coco, with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and even a little bit last year as well, I would say, with Klaus, where they walked away with, like, the grand majority of their nominations actually getting a win. And in that regard, usually the one independent animated feature, they would just walk out with just Best Independent Animated Feature, and that's pretty much it. Like, some people might think there might be a bit more legitimacy with the Annie Awards in terms of award shows with animation, because this specializes in animation in particular. But then again, they do fall into the same traps and the same controversies and the same kind of like shady practices that they would do in stuff like the Golden Globes and the Oscars. So that's why I'm pretty much predicting right now that a lot of the, like, I'm not saying that Soul is going to walk out with all the awards for every movie category, but I think the grand majority of it is going to be Soul, and that the Annies are definitely going to be biased for Soul this year. Oh, excuse me. I think that was just setting up too much in my system, and it just needed to be let out. But yeah, overall, I believe that's just my thoughts on the whole situation with the Annies. I might not necessarily have a whole lot to say, but that's essentially my prediction with who's going to be, at least in terms of the big winner of it all. Maybe we will see a few of the others actually walk out with at least one win. Like, maybe Netflix will have like a win or two for either the Willoughbys or Over the Moon. Maybe Wolfwalkers can be a bit lucky and it might actually collect either like 2 or 3 Annie Awards. But overall, though, I think like the grand majority of it is going to be Soul. It's already reserved to win for Best Animated Feature, and because of that, I think the Annies is going to reward it heavily with a whole bunch of other awards as well. So with that said, like I said before with the Golden Globes, I just want to say congratulations to all the nominees at this year's Annie Awards. And we're going to wait a long time until we know who's going to be the winner, because technically the Annie Awards is going to be held on April 16th. So that's more than a month from when I am recording this right now. So we will have to wait and see with who's going to be the big winner so far. But we do definitely have an interesting list of nominations so far. All right, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall. And it's time that I would like to go and ask you all, what do you think of the nominees for the 48th Annual Annie Awards? And who do you think is going to be coming out as the big winner? Or who would you like to see win the Annie Awards if there's a specific category that you are aiming for? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see where we got here. Most award shows are biased and trend chasers, which is why I don't obsess over them too much. It's nice when something I love gets recognized, but I really consider that more circumstances, that the value of a piece of the art is in general. Like you said last year regarding Klaus versus Toy Story 4, award shows shouldn't matter just because they're catering to anyone's personal bias. What really determines the value of a piece of art is the ability to stand the test of time. Damn, some wise words right there. Really nice comment there, dude. Let's see now. What else we got here? This year's Annie Awards is going to be an amazing year. I joined ASIFA Hollywood for a couple of years now, and it helped me get into screenings for award voters. Sure, it cost me money to get in, but it's worth it. I hopefully one day to get into their award shows someday. Anyways, I want to say congrats to both Cartoon Saloon, Pixar, and even Netflix and DreamWorks for their nominations. I'm rooting for Soul and Wolfwalkers, of course. Wait, can anyone just join in ASIFA Hollywood? I'm honestly kind of surprised. I thought you would have to be working in the industry in order to get a membership of ASIFA. And that's actually kind of surprising, dude, but hey, more power to you, dude. That's awesome. I'm actually quite curious because that would honestly be awesome to see. That would be awesome if I could just join in Asifa Hollywood. That would actually be cool. But anyways, what else do we got here? If I have to name what I think is going to be the big winner, it's hands down going to be Soul. But I will say that this is a very intriguing list of nominees, especially with Trolls World Tour and the Willoughbys. But going back to your mention of Annie's bias, you forgot the biggest example of this. How to Train Your Dragon. Remember 39-7? Oh yeah, well, okay. That's kind of a bit of a different story right there. That's not necessarily because of bias. That's more because of, like, really shady practices. That's more rigging than it is bias. Because at the very least with stuff like Spider-Verse or Klaus or Coco, at least you can look at those and say that it's more because the voters and the Asifa Hollywood committee, like, they really liked those movies in particular and heavily wanted to reward them. But with How to Train Your Dragon, that was just way too obvious that DreamWorks is just rigging the system to have it be more in their favor, to just shaft all the others and just give all the awards and the grand majority of nominations to How to Train Your Dragon. Like, that was just a rigged system right there. That's not because of bias. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Pity that Scoob wasn't nominated for any category. Actually, I find that to be a good thing. At least for either, most importantly, the visual category or most likely voice acting, made some solid fitting voice performances to the personality of the characters, including highlighting Frank Welker. By the way, if there is another moon-themed animated film that can be compared with Over the Moon, it's Enrique Gatto's Goya Award-winning 2015 film, Capture the Flag. Yeah, nah, I think honestly, I think it's a good thing that they glanced over Scoob. I mean, like, yeah, it has some solid animation, but everything else, no, not worth recognizing. Not worth recognizing at all. If it needs recognition, well then look at the Razzies. Okay, what else do we got here now? Let's see. The biggest ones I'm rooting for are Soul to win along with Wolfwalkers 2. I'm also rooting for either She-Ra, Clone Wars, Close Enough, and Primal to win some other categories, along with best shows for either kids and adults too. For character animation in both live action and video games, I'm rooting for The Mandalorian and Spider-Man Miles Morales to win, and that's pretty much it. That's all I gotta root for and hope they win. If it does so, and if it does so, congrats to everyone with their nominations and hope to win. You know, if I may go and add a little bit of my piece as well to an individual award that I am aiming for, I am curious about best voice acting actually, because we do have an interesting list. Of course, with the TV shows, that definitely has some intriguing choices as well, including Jeff Bennett for his performance in DreamWorks Dragons Rescue Riders. You got Jessica DeSico, I believe. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Jessica. Jessica for her nomination for It's Pony. You got Ashley Teasdale for her performance as Candace in the Phineas and Ferb movie Candace Against the Universe. You got David Bradley for his performance in Wizards, Tales of Arcadia. And finally, Patrick Size for his performance in Thundercats Roar. And yes, Thundercats Roar did get an Annie nomination. But then the one that I am more familiar with is actually regarding best voice acting in an animated feature, where we got Vanessa Marshall for Earwig and the Witch, Tom Holland for his performance in Onward, Robert G. Chu for Over the Moon, Nicolas Cage for The Croods: A New Age, and Eva Whittaker for Wolfwalkers, which honestly, I'm hoping this is gonna, considering that Soul is not in this at all, I'm gonna go and root for Eva Whittaker, actually. She actually did provide a beautiful performance in that film. So, and generally, whenever kids are actually nominated for this, they would actually be the ones that would go as the winner. So, honestly, my pick is going to be Eva Whittaker for that one. So, that's my individual selection, at least to focus on one individual award. Anyways, let's see what else we got. How about, oh, this is definitely a very diverse list. For me personally, I am absolutely rooting for Soul, mostly because I haven't seen Wolfwalkers yet. Please do so, dude. It's an amazing movie. Also, I'm happy that a bunch of awesome animated series like She-Ra and Hilda are nominated, so this is definitely going to be an interesting year at the Annies. Alright, I think I'm going to go and read one more before we go and jump into the next story. Personally, I don't think She-Ra and the Princesses of Power should have been nominated. Oh dear. Again, this is a personal thing because I haven't seen She-Ra, but oh boy. You haven't seen She-Ra, but you don't think it should have been nominated. Ay, 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 mon gars. Yeah, that's not a good stance where you are going with. Let's see. But I haven't seen She-Ra, but man, is the fan base too full of toxic wild fans, especially on Twitter. Similar to what happened with Steven Universe with the fan art controversy. Several She-Ra fans attacked some fan artists, whitewashing some of its characters like Mermista. Okay, that's not valid. I'm just gonna say this right now. That is not a valid excuse to say that She-Ra was not nominated. That does not, yeah, sure, say what you will about the fan base, but that should not reflect upon the performance of the show itself. Yeah, sure, the fan base, yeah, just because it has a pretty bad fan base, that doesn't mean the show itself should be punished for it and not get nominated. By that logic, The Mandalorian shouldn't be nominated for best character animation in a live action production because of how infamously toxic the Star Wars fan base is. You can't judge a show based on how the fan base is in terms of its individual performance, especially you can't just come in and just say oh, I don't think this thing is nominated even though I haven't seen it myself. Well, then if you haven't seen it yourself, then how do you know it deserves it or not? You know, that's kind of the dumb logic right there. I just need to point that out. But anyways, with that said and done, once again, I just would like to say congratulations to all the nominees this year. And let's see how things go when the award show happens on April 16th. Okay, so for our next story, let's go outside of the award season right now and actually get into some actual news. And for this one, we do have a couple of movie delays that happen, but there is one in particular that I would like to focus on because right now, the amount of delays that it's going through, it's honestly getting a bit out of hand and a little bit ridiculous as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and check up with what's up with Universal Studios. And Universal decided to go and take two of their biggest movies that are supposed to come out this year and decided to go and delay them a bit. The first of which being F9, which is the 9th installment of the Fast and Furious series, in which that one was originally supposed to be coming out on May 28th, around the same time as Disney's Cruella movie. However, they decided to go and slightly move that to less than a month on June 25th. And as this article on Deadline states, one very significant component about F9 being released on that date is that it means it will now be in direct competition with Sony's upcoming Venom: Let There Be Carnage. To which that one, a lot of people are pretty much saying that very soon we should be expecting Sony Pictures to announce a new batch of movie delays, or at least to move Venom Carnage, because there is no way Venom 2 is going to stand against F9 in terms of competing at the box office and stuff like that. There's just no way. So Sony pretty much has no choice but to go and delay that movie. But the biggest movie that they did delay, and the biggest delay that they have done that's very curious, is actually regarding the 5th installment of the Despicable Me movies, the Despicable Me franchise, Minions: The Rise of Gru, in which it was supposed to be coming out this year and this summer on July 2nd, I believe, but now it's going to be delayed to a full year to July 1st, 2022. And the big significance about this one is that this is not the first time that Minions: The Rise of Gru actually got delayed. In fact, this is not the first time that it got delayed by a full year. Originally, it was supposed to be released last year in early July of 2020, where it was supposed to be around the same time as the franchise's 10th anniversary. But then, of course, the pandemic happened, and it really did hit hard in France, where they would make the Despicable Me movies and where the main animation studio of Illumination is set. So from there, they had to go and have no choice but to go and delay it by a full year so that they could have more time to actually go and finish things up, even though the studio as well was temporarily closed. But now it seems like they are going to go and do that again, where now Minions: The Rise of Gru has been delayed by 2 full years. And that's actually a very intriguing move. That is actually quite surprising. In fact, many animation fans are pretty much curious as to why. Some of them are not necessarily that interested to see the movie, but that's kind of the big weird thing that we are seeing right now, is the fact that there is an animated film that is being heavily delayed, more delayed than any other feature film right now, by 2 whole years. Why is that? Because we're talking about Universal after all, and technically when it comes to Universal, they already set up a system for themselves in terms of releasing their feature films, in terms of how they're going to distribute it both in theaters and at home on digital. In fact, keep in mind that last year, they were the ones who spearheaded the idea that movies don't necessarily have to rely on being released in theaters, with the way that they released Trolls World Tour directly onto digital at home. And that's the one that many people even state that it caused the whole domino effect to forever change movie distribution as we to forever change movie distribution as we know it. It's just honestly ridiculous the way that they decided to go completely 180 with the way that they want to handle the Minions: Rise of Gru. And it's not just with Trolls World Tour that they released onto digital immediately, but at the same time, there was also The Croods: A New Age, in which they've already established a system with that, where they would start things off by releasing it in theaters exclusively for the first 3 weeks, and then afterwards, that's when they can go and put it out on digital. So the big question is, what gives with Minions: Rise of Gru? Why aren't they going towards the same direction? Why aren't they doing that with Minions: Rise of Gru the same way they did with Trolls World Tour and The Croods: A New Age? What gives? Well, there is a major reason, and that is because of the fact that we are talking about a Despicable Me film. And this isn't just one of Universal's biggest franchises. We are also talking about what is possibly the biggest animated film franchise of all time. In fact, if you look back at the previous 2 films with Minions, the first Minions movie, and Despicable Me 3, they are so far the only non-Disney animated features to make more than $1 billion at the box office. And the fact that they are handling what is essentially one of their biggest franchises, they gotta give that some treatment that is a lot more different than their other movies. It's not something that they could treat similarly to something like The Croods or Trolls or something like that. The Minions is a big deal, and they want to ensure that it can capitalize in the most successful way that they could possibly can. They can't just do the same kind of strategy as like Trolls World Tour or Croods: A New Age, because there are definitely more ways that you can use the Minions in a more profitable manner. And if there is, and the thing is, regardless if you like them or not, there is still a very high chance that Minions: Rise of Gru could actually become another billion-dollar hit. And they don't want to go and miss that opportunity. So the best thing to do is to just wait even longer until, like, we can fully be sure that the pandemic is over and just put it in the summer of 2022 in the hopes that things can start to get back to normal and people can actually commonly go back to the theaters on the big screen so that they can enjoy whatever movies that's being released, rather it be something like Minions Rise of Gru or anything else. It's mostly to go and to ensure it's more to ensure the biggest success that it could possibly get, and in order to ensure that it can get the most money that it can gather. It's pretty much the same reason as to why Disney is not immediately releasing Black Widow onto Disney Plus. They know that Black Widow is a major deal. They know that it is a highly anticipated movie, and Disney knows that they are capable of making some major profits with Black Widow if they would put it out on the big screen. But they want to wait until it is the perfect time to do so. They really want to ensure that the pandemic is officially over before they could go and move on. They can't really do the same thing that they did with the Mulan remake, with Soul, and just recently with Raya and the Last Dragon. They want to ensure they want to ensure it can collect the biggest success it can possibly get. And if it requires waiting until the pandemic is officially over, then it will try to go and do that. Which is why I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if anything does happen with Black Widow. They might ultimately choose to go and delay it again. Just delay it to November and delay all the other Marvel movies as well. There could be that possibility, but then again, we would have to wait and see. And that's essentially the same approach that Universal has taken with Minions Rise of Gru. They want to ensure the most success that it could possibly gather. And if it means waiting until the pandemic is over for it, then they will do so. Because what they want with Minions Rise of Gru is to have it be another billion-dollar hit. And they'll do whatever they can to keep it as another billion-dollar hit, or to keep those chances be strong. But one thing that I will comment, however, regarding this move, and one thing that for me I find to be absolutely concerning, is regarding if this massive delay would ultimately pay off. Because I'm just going to say this right now, the marketers and the promoters and the publishers and stuff like that, they've already put in a lot of money as is in order to go and promote Minions Rise of Gru. Like, I'm just gonna say right now, if you go into some place like Walmart and you go into the toy section, there's a good chance you'll actually go and find some toys that are based on Minions Rise of Gru, where they do hint out, like, who are going to be some of the characters in there, and some of the themes that will be a part of Minions Rise of Gru. Yeah, sure, we've already been introduced to a good bunch of them in the trailers that we have already seen, but at the same time, something that hasn't been shown in Minions Rise of Gru, or hasn't been fully revealed, is going to be the Kung Fu theme. Keep in mind that Minions Rise of Gru is going to be set somewhere in the 1970s, so they will be paying homage to movies like the Bruce Lee films and all that kind of stuff, and really like pay tribute to that in their own Minion-like style. So that's going to be a big theme in there, and even though it hasn't been revealed in any clips or any trailers or anything like that, we are already seeing the toys being sold. Not to mention that we also got a bunch of Minions Rise of Gru Funko Pops that are already available that you could go out and buy. So one thing that is concerning is if the delay is just way too long and they wouldn't necessarily have that much resources in order to go and publicly market Minions The Rise of Gru the way that they would actually want, that they might end up waiting way too late, and consequently it might end up screwing them over at the box office, because the hype and the interest would just like quickly fade away. And especially regarding the relevancy of the Minions, I mean, let's be honest, the popularity of the Minions certainly isn't what it used to be. So seeing them come back on the big screen, are audiences just going to be a bit tired from seeing the Minions? Are audiences just going to lose interest altogether, and it might not be that big of a hit as much as Universal hopes it would be? I'm not saying it's going to be a massive failure, because in terms of the Illumination films, they do keep their budgets relatively decent, like around On average they would be around like $60 million. So it's gonna be hard for an Illumination film to be a major box office flop or to make Universal lose money. But still, it's a massive risk that they are trying to do, considering the amount of marketing that they have already established for this movie. And I mean, I get it. A lot of it is not necessarily their fault. I mean, I'm not blaming either Illumination or Universal on this, because a lot of this is heavily due to the pandemic, and they got to do what they can in order to ensure people's safety and in order to ensure that the movie comes out correct. Even like after the first time that it did get delayed by a full year, it is understandable that, you know, things were all closed down in France and they couldn't really do much to go and advance the production. So it is understandable, and maybe there could be a hidden reason why Minions Rise of Gru did get heavily delayed. It could be because of major production troubles, or they got to do some emergency changes onto the story to be more captivating in order to make things a lot more interesting than some of the reactions that we have gotten in the first trailer and stuff like that. That could be highly possible. But still, however, I just find that this delay seems to be a massive risk. And technically, I do get it, because, like, it's not something that Illumination could lose that much, because it is true that this year we are still getting an Illumination movie regardless, with Sing 2 that's going to be coming out at the end of the year. But still, though, Minions Rise of Gru is supposed to be a big deal. And the fact that they are heavily delaying it by another full year, I don't know, it's a risk. It is a major risk, because I get what they're trying to do. They want to try to skip over the pandemic, make sure that it's over so that they can get as many people as possible to ensure the biggest success. But still, though, I don't know, like, there is still that chance that maybe they would be way too late and waited way too long for this. So it's ultimately going to be something that we will have to wait and see. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about Minions Rise of Gru getting delayed by another full year? Like, regardless of what you may think of the Despicable Me movies or the Minions or whatever, do you think this is a smart move that Universal is doing? Do you think they should go and release it on digital instead? Let me know what you think on this. Okay, let's see now. I still think Minions Rise of Gru is going to be a hit. I guess that's why Universal and Illumination delayed it, so that families can enjoy it safe and sound. But it does worry me about the Mario movie being delayed or something like that. I heard so far that from Nintendo that the production of the Mario movie is going smoothly. I just hope it doesn't affect Mario, because I want it to be good and out by 2022. Yeah, I think I can guarantee you guys that it's not going to be coming out in 2022. I think, like, so far, with the way Illumination and Nintendo are collaborating on this, they want to, like, there is no rush in order to make this Mario movie, and they are waiting until they can actually get it correct and they can have it, they can have it be well made. I wouldn't be surprised if we would have to wait until, like, maybe 2023 or 2024. Or in fact, I have heard that apparently the Super Nintendo World in Orlando, Florida, that's going to be open in 2025. So there could be a chance that we might wait even longer until, like, they could release the movie around the same time as the opening of that Super Nintendo World. There is that chance. But ultimately, we will have to wait and see with how things go on that department. But there is no confirmation of a release date so far, so let's just wait and see with what they have in store. But for now, all we can do is pretty much trust Nintendo and trust Illumination that they are working things correctly on the Super Mario movie. Let's see what else we got here. Minions Rise of Gru getting delayed again is not that surprising because we're still in a pandemic. I have no interest in watching the film, but more power to the people who are hyped for it. However, I do have one question. Is it possible that Illumination could also delay their upcoming projects, such as delaying Sing 2 by a full year to 2022 and the Mario movie to 2023? Okay, guys, there is no confirmation that confirmation that the Mario movie is coming out in 2022. There is no official statement of that. Illumination would have made it, or Universal would have made a big deal if they would go and reveal that. Or in fact, we probably would have gotten a bit of a clue with Nintendo Direct and stuff like that. We would have already known if there is an official confirmed date for that Super Mario movie. So it's not going to be in 2022 or anything like that. It's not going to be next year. It's going to be I think it's already established that they're going to set it either in 2023 or 2024. Let's see now. What else we got? Personally, I'm not, did I? Oh, no, I didn't read you. Personally, I'm not that surprised that Minions 2 was delayed. I'm also not that surprised that Fast 9 got delayed again, considering how big the Fast and Furious franchise, is. They want to have it be as profitable as possible. Also, when it comes to Black Widow being released on Disney+, I think there is a higher chance it could be released on there, considering another delay could screw up the MCU, since WandaVision has been released. That is true, and technically things are a little bit more complicated with handling the MCU and how things are going to be released, especially with the factor of the TV shows finally being released, with WandaVision now officially out in one big piece, like all the first season of WandaVision, and not far off, we are also getting the Loki series, so maybe there is that much of a chance, but from what I've been seeing and from the talks that I've heard from either Kevin Feige or Bob Chapek, it looks like they are still firm to have it be released on the big screen and not necessarily have any plans whatsoever to give Black Widow a premium access. But then again, I could be wrong, so that's also something that we would have to wait and see. Again, things are definitely unpredictable in terms of the pandemic, so we'll just see how it goes. Oh yes, and someone did point out that as well, we're also getting the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There is that too. Let's see what else we got here. It's probably sad for Minions 2 to be delayed again. I mean, recently, don't you think the craze of the Minions has been kind of waned? I don't see a lot of Minion products being sold where I live, at least in the last year, except for Lego Minions. When Minions 2 gain back the spark of recognition like it once did, or will it be the nail in the coffin for the franchise, kind of like Ice Age 5? Maybe it'll still be successful, but not as much as Minions or Despicable Me 3. I think at that point, I would say that it would depend on the marketing team. Because say what you will about Illumination, but they are geniuses when it comes to marketing and publicity. They would have to really think up of a really good plan for next year for the return of the Minions to make it like that big of a deal. They gotta think up of a really special reason to gain back the interests of the Minions. So that's gonna be a bit of a challenge, but considering the experts that they have in terms of the marketing team at Illumination, I wouldn't be surprised if they would think up of something real good to really spark back the mainstream interests of the Minions. Let's see, what else do we got here? Part of me wants to know if something is happening within Illumination or the production of Minions Rise of Gru. Why delay this and not Sing 2? Also, we saw what happened with the New Mutants. Constantly delaying can do more harm than good. Oh yeah, that's definitely true, bringing up New Mutants. Yeah, that can be very problematic, and you do bring up a very good point, but I'm guessing, like, with Sing 2, it is still way far ahead. I mean, we're talking, like, Sing 2 is going to be planned to be released by literally the end of the year, so there's no real rush. And like I said before, with Minions Rise of Gru, the franchise itself is way bigger than Sing, so Minions is definitely much more of a priority in order to really capitalize the most of its success than something like Sing. Alright, I'll go and read one more comment before we jump into the next story. I understand why I am sorry, I don't know why I couldn't speak well there. I understand why we wouldn't be getting this delay. Why we would be getting this delay, since the pandemic is still a thing and there could be some behind the scenes problems. But if you ask me, if you really want to delay Minions 2, then why not hold Sing 2 off until February and March and give Minions an October release? But whatever, I still kind of understand why this would happen, even though I'm not gonna go absolutely bananas on this, of the fact that it got delayed, no pun intended. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, you actually do bring up an extremely good point. Like, I could actually see that work in a way. There is a way they could have taken advantage where instead of delaying it by a full year, they could just release Minions Rise of Gru onto Christmas and just put Sing 2 somewhere else, like in March or in April or something like that. That, like, really, like, capitalize on the holiday season and, like, celebrate Christmas with the Minions. That could actually be very smart. But then again, I guess what Illumination wants to do and what Universal wants to do is keep up the tradition of the Despicable Me franchise, because every Despicable Me film has been released in the summer. And I guess they want to consider they want to keep the Despicable Me franchise as a summer movie. They don't want to risk doing like the mistake that Disney did with the Star Wars movies, where they broke their tradition of releasing a Star Wars movie every Christmas, and then suddenly you got what was it? You got Solo being the rogue one that decided to be delayed to not delayed, but you got Solo who decided to go and be released in May instead, and that turned out to be a disaster, and that pretty much killed off all the plans in order to make in order to go and make more Star Wars spin-off movies. So I guess it's mostly the risk of not going into that direction as well. So once again, Minions Rise of Gru is now going to be released on July 1st, 2022, so we'll have to wait even longer, and we'll see if the risk would actually pay off or not. Alright, so moving on to the next story that we have here. It is now time that we are going to be entering into the realm of controversies. Oh yes, it is now time that we are going to be getting into the real interesting parts where the internet is just going nuts over. And it is now time that for this podcast to go and talk about a specific subject that has feared the most upon people, what they are freaking out about so much. The two infamous words that strike fear upon internet dwellers: cancel culture. And in terms of cancel culture, we have heard so many things lately that have been getting canceled. Rather it be people freaking out over the Muppets getting canceled, or Mr. Potato Head getting canceled. But when you actually do look into it, they're not necessarily that canceled per se. You could still watch the Muppet Show on Disney Plus. It's just that there are a few episodes that would have a 10-second content warning before actually starting the episode, which the grand majority of them are pretty much uncut and in their true form. And then there's also Mr. Potato Head being canceled, but they're actually not, because you can actually go into a store and you can buy yourself Mr. Potato Head. But the only difference is that now Hasbro ultimately decided to change up the franchise, where now it's more gender neutral, and now it is being referred to as the Potato Head franchise. Oh, but those are just appetizers apparently, because this is something else, however, that people to this day are still freaking out about. And what I am discussing about, of course, is none other than Dr. Seuss. Yes, what happened this week is regarding the fact that you may have heard people freaking out over the fact that people are stating that Dr. Seuss is getting canceled. Cancel culture is going after Dr. Seuss. It could be the end of Dr. Seuss, but we won't let cancel culture take away Dr. Seuss. That is not what happened, however. That could not even be further from the truth. What happened was actually that Dr. Seuss Enterprise, the company that pretty much is running all the Dr. Seuss books and is in charge of releasing all these different Dr. Seuss books and making sure the legacy of Dr. Seuss is still alive, they decided to go and no longer publish 6 different Dr. Seuss books. These include And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, Mr. Elligott's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Egg Super, and The Cat's Quizzer. And the reason for why those are getting canceled is mainly because of the fact that these books are, how can I put this, outdated. There are certain pages in these books that do have some racist imagery, whether it be racist depictions of black people or racist depictions of Asians, specifically Chinese or Japanese and stuff like that. Even the Dr. Seuss Enterprises themselves even stated that these books portray in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Ceasing sales of these books is only part of our commitment and our broader plan to ensure Dr. Seuss Enterprises catalog represents and supports all communities and families. And by the way, I am reading this through my source on ABC News. However, this kind of reaction just immediately went out of hand. You'd think it would seem harmless that they're just no longer publishing it, but the internet just went absolutely bonkers and are losing their crap over the fact that there are some Dr. Seuss books that are no longer being published, or in some people's terms, that are getting canceled per se. And that's why people are interpreting this as either getting canceled or getting banned or anything like that. And immediately, this is really a case of a mountain turned into a molehill, to the point where people are just panicking over the subject of Dr. Seuss. And even right now, you can actually find on websites like Amazon and stuff like that, where the sales of Dr. Seuss books just completely skyrocketed. And I'm not necessarily referring to the ones that are stated to be no longer published, but whatever Dr. Seuss book they could actually find, even like the most popular ones like The Cat in the Hat, The Grinch, Green Eggs and Ham, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, any of those, and they are immediately trying to go and drive up sales. And that's currently where we are right now, where the internet is at a complete flame war and in a complete state of paranoia, fearing that Dr. Seuss would be canceled. And they're ensuring to keep the legacy of Dr. Seuss alive by buying all their books, by singing their praises and all that kind of stuff. That's currently the crazy situation that we are at with these Dr. Seuss books. All right, now before we fully dive into this subject, let's look into the big picture. What is it that Dr. Seuss Enterprises has done? What is it that they did? Well, they ultimately decided to no longer publish 6 different Dr. Seuss books. 6 books that are not necessarily Dr. Seuss's most well-known books that he has ever published. Probably the most popular of the bunch is If I Ran the Zoo. I think it is safe to say that anyone listening to this podcast, or anyone on the internet, or the grand majority of people on the internet, unless you're like a major Dr. Seuss fanboy, you probably have never even heard of at least half of these books. I don't think there is a single person out there who is massively upset about this news because they're no longer able to go and buy On Beyond Zebra or Scrambled Egg Super because it has some racist imagery in those books in particular. And from there, on top of that, no longer publishing these books do not necessarily mean that they are banned, that they are canceled per se. That doesn't mean that at all. What it means is that Dr. Seuss Enterprises decided that they're no longer going to go and make new books out of them. They're no longer going to be releasing new issues of books like Mulberry Street or If I Ran the Zoo. Technically, you could still go on eBay and you can actually buy the book, but then again, I highly encourage not to do so because they're going at ridiculous they're going for ridiculous prices right now. Unless you are willing to go and buy Scrambled Egg Super for $200, I advise you not to go and do so. That, or you can actually go to your public library, and chances are they would actually have one of those books. They could actually have a copy of And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and you could still go pick it up the same. That's really the big difference here, is that you could still go find it. And not to mention, by the way, you could still go on the internet, and chances are, if you do your research correct, you can actually go and find a digital copy for free that's on the internet that you can actually go and look up for something like Mulberry Street or McGilligan's Pool or Scrambled Egg Super. You can actually go and actually look it up. So technically, there's nothing too big that is lost here. And I wouldn't be surprised if this decision is actually done because, of course, like we all know why they would go and decide to not publish these books is because they want to go and reflect upon the current times. And it's pretty much to say that they do acknowledge that these racist imageries are absolutely terrible and should not be exposed to young, impressionable children. So they did do the right thing on that. But, fudge nabbit, what am I trying to say with this? Yeah, but, oh yes, like, not only is it because, like, they know it is the right thing to do in order to stay within the current times, but at the same time, they're not really that popular. I think it's more of a marketing decision because these books aren't really selling all that much in the first place. As I said before, these are not really that popular books in the first place. You know, you're not going to see people crying over the fact that they can no longer buy The Cat's Quizzer or On Beyond Zebra. These are books that aren't really necessarily getting as much sales as something like Green Eggs and Ham or The Cat in the Hat, so it's something that is worth sacrificing and that they wouldn't necessarily lose that much money if they decide to go and no longer publish these books. It's ultimately a decision to go and maintain, you know, it's ultimately a decision that they could afford to go and sacrifice. So it's a bit of a win-win situation that they're not really losing much by sacrificing the publishing of their lesser-known books, and they don't have to worry about having racist depictions onto their books that Dr. Seuss has done in the past. And then there is also the discussion about Dr. Seuss himself, because that is currently the big discussion that people are currently having right now, considering that these books are no longer being published because of the racist imageries that are in those individual books. The big question has been raised regarding if Dr. Seuss himself is considered to be racist. Because if he's perfectly fine with drawing these racist depictions of black people or Asian people onto his books, does that reflect upon the man himself? Is Dr. Seuss racist? And the answer is yes and no. Dr. Seuss himself is not necessarily racist, but at the same time, it's mostly he's just a product of his time. I think that's the best way to put it. This is a man who was raised in the early 1900s, and throughout the 20th century, he would go and create some books. And early in his lifetime, when he would be starting in his career, of course he would go and make a lot of racist imagery because it was very commonplace back then. It was actually quite regular to see these kinds of depictions and how normalized that they all are. And I actually do have a few examples that you can go and check out. You could just look it up online of any racist caricatures that Dr. Seuss has done, and you'll find like a really massive handful. I actually do have a website here called adayinourshoes.com, where it does discuss about the subject of Dr. Seuss being racist. And there are some caricatures that he has done. Like, here's one example where we see Dr. Seuss, where it's like a little comic that he has made where, like, you see people working in this, like, little shop and just looking around. And then, like, in the last panel, you just see, ooh, what what is this? Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, God. Is that the N-word? No, don't, Doc. No, come on, Theodore. What are you doing? What are you doing with this? What the fridge is this? No, man, no. And then there's also another example. That's just a black example of the racist caricatures that Dr. Seuss has done. But when it comes to Asians, oh man, did Dr. Seuss hit them hard. If there is one specific race that Dr. Seuss did dirty the most, it's easily the Asians. Like, look at this. Look at this. you got this one Asian guy giving all the other Asians the honorable fifth column, and it's just a bunch of bricks that say TNT. And it says, wait, and apparently up there it says waiting for the signal from home. Like, this is yikes. This is a massive lineup of just freaking yikes. And there is actually a very specific reason, and this is not the only example. Like, you also see another one here of, here's another, like, this is a World War II ad. What have you done today to help save your country? And here you have Hitler, and then you have the Japanese leader from back then, of course, as a racist stereotype. And there is actually a very deep history with that one in particular, and there is a reason why Dr. Seuss really went hard on the Asians. And one thing that I need to start off by saying is that Dr. Seuss is very much anti-fascist. The conservatives of today would despise Theodor Geisel because this dude is unapologetically Antifa. And Dr. Seuss, you probably know, he would do everything he can in order to go and fight off the Nazis and call out anyone who would be considered America first. In fact, if you actually do look into his political cartoons of the past, if you do look at his political cartoons during World War II, like, he would not be afraid to go and call out anybody who uses the term America first. Like, any America firsters out there, they're pretty much as bad as Nazis. That is pretty much his mentality, and that is the way that he framed it in his cartoons. So, of course, as someone who is completely anti-fascist, of course he would be completely against the Japanese. And the way that he would do so is with his cartoons. And there are definitely plenty of cartoons that he would use to go and fight off against the Japanese, especially when they were considered to be a major enemy after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But then, even he acknowledged that the way that he depicted the Japanese and Asians in general, that he even took it way too far, where even during World War II, he had to apologize for going way too far with the racist depictions that he has done, and he had to go and scale it back a little bit by the end of World War II. In fact, he like, even afterwards, I believe in the early 1950s or in the late 1940s, he even had to go into a trip to Japan, not necessarily because of like as like punishment or as like some kind of like way as a way to put scrutiny onto Dr. Seuss or like a punishment for his racist depictions, but rather he wanted to do it himself as a way to apologize to his conscience for the way he treated the Japanese dirty. But unfortunately, it's not necessarily because of the racism of Dr. Seuss. That's not the case at all. I agree when people say that Dr. Seuss is not a racist person. It's unfortunately how things were at the time, and especially during World War II and even afterwards, the way white Americans view the Japanese is just despicable. It's just flat out terrible. And the way that they treated the Japanese is debatably even worse than the way the Japanese treated Americans during World War II. Yeah, say what you will about Pearl Harbor, that is a tragedy, but keep in mind that it is the United States that is actually responsible for the bombing of Hiroshima that killed over 100,000 people in the country. Much more, debatably 50 times more than how many people died during the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And it's not just with Dr. Seuss. Like, you can even look into cartoons as well with the way that they depicted Japanese, and they just do them dirty. Rather it be Disney with Fleischer, or especially frickin' Warner Brothers. My God, are they are guilty as hell. There's even one cartoon, I believe it's called Bugs Bunny Japs the Jap or something like that. And my God, they debatably went way too far. There was even one point where Bugs Bunny was like selling ice cream that technically it's a bomb disguised as an ice cream in order to take down the Japanese. And Bugs Bunny was just handing it to the Japanese. Yeah, no, okay. The cartoon is called Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips. Yeah, thank you so much, PPG Caitlin. And when he was handing over those bombs, bombs. Like, Bugs Bunny was just, like, ruthless at that point. He was just like, yeah, here you go, monkey face. Here you go, slant eyes. Here you go, squinty. It's like, Jesus Christ, Bugs. That's just, wow. Like, that's just way too far. Even during that time, that's just insane, dude. It's just it's just flat out terrible. So it's not just Dr. Seuss. It's just it's really the culture of back then that is actually considered very racist. It was very commonplace, and that's why, unfortunately, they do find themselves in books such as Mulberry Street and If I Ran the Zoo and on Beyond Zebra. That's how they do find themselves in those books. Is because that's how people view people of color back then, unfortunately. But then again, Dr. Seuss did acknowledge that those racist stereotypes were wrong, and even he actually would go and release updated versions of those books where the harshness that he went onto those people of color, where he would try to go and soften the blow, per se, that it wouldn't seem as racist as they would be back in like the 40s and the 30s and stuff like that. So even Dr. Seuss himself would go and actually make some updates so that they wouldn't be as racist as they were before, and that they would reflect the current times in the way that people view Asians and Black people. And I know it's pretty bad, especially it might sound terrible to sound like speaking for the dead and stuff like that, but I would even say if Dr. Seuss were alive today, I think he would honestly do the same thing, and he would agree to this decision, that he would agree to stop publishing these books altogether. Or worst case scenario, he would go and update them so that they wouldn't have those racist depictions of Asians and Black people and stuff like that. So I think honestly, yeah, like I'm definitely on the side of Dr. Seuss Enterprises where they would go and do that decision, because it definitely does reflect upon the philosophies that Theodore Geisel himself would actually have. He does it. He knows that the racist depictions of back then were wrong, and that even the way he approached them were wrong. So he would go and do his best to try to fix them up in order for his books to be as universally accepted as possible and to reflect upon the current times as well. But then I gotta say, the reactions of this, oh my god. The reactions of how people are responding to this whole thing. So with all that said, this is honestly why I feel like it has gone completely out of hand, because you can definitely tell that these people that are just panicking over cancel culture and just impulse buying all these Dr. Seuss books, that they haven't done their research. They don't actually know the facts of what is actually going on. And also, before I would go and continue, I just need to go and ask one question. I really want to know if there's anyone out there who actually seen themselves regarding these allegations, if they're actually true or not. Is there anybody out there, is there anyone in the chat wall, or if you could write down in the comments, have you ever seen specifically, have you ever seen firsthand someone on social media demanding for the cancellation of Dr. Seuss? Because you probably have heard people trying to say that there are SJWs or liberals or Democrats that are desperately trying to go and cancel Dr. Seuss. But have you actually seen someone yourself actually specifically saying these words, that Dr. Seuss, it needs to be canceled because of his racist depictions? Okay, so no. Okay, most of these people. Okay, so one person apparently says yes. Apparently, let's see. Even Roald Dahl. Apparently, okay, so there are a few people, but from what I see so far, the grand majority is saying, okay, so yeah, it looks like the grand majority. Okay, the one, yeah, Jonathan, you, specifically, you said that you heard, apparently there is one person who is demanding for, Dr. Seuss to be canceled. Can you explain who is it? I just want to know, because for me, I've tried to look it up. I tried looking everywhere on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, and never once did I actually see someone actually say that Dr. Seuss needs to be canceled. And by the way, just one more thing I want to state. One thing that does not count, by the way, is people pointing out the racism of Dr. Seuss. Just because they're pointing out his racism, that doesn't mean they're canceling him. Criticism does not mean cancellation. Because, like, that's a completely different thing right there. Because I've definitely seen a good amount of people that are pointing out Dr. Seuss's not Dr. Seuss's cancellation, but I have seen people pointing out his racism and that many of the depictions on those books are completely wrong, but they have never stated that Dr. Seuss needs to be canceled altogether because of this. So let's see. Someone says, maybe on Twitter, but I don't go that deep on the website. No one should ever go that deep on the website. Let's see. Excuse me. So anyone? I'm still waiting on that answer. It's some guy who read Green Eggs and Ham. It's some guy, but I don't, but again, I haven't really seen them myself. I haven't seen any form of evidence that actually specified that there are people out there. Maybe there is like that really, really tiny maybe there is that like extremely tiny minority, like maybe like 5 people on Twitter, or maybe some trolls saying that they want to see Dr. Seuss canceled. But I've never seen it trending where there's a massive rally group or people protesting for the cancellation of Dr. Seuss specifically. I still consider that to be a bit of a myth. So honestly, it's just ridiculous to see this kind of paranoia where people, some mom and teacher said he needed to be canceled. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's just some mom and a teacher. You don't know necessarily who these people are. It's not someone of massive influence that can go and rally up his base and use his platform use their platform prominently to say that Dr. Seuss needs to be canceled. Like I said, maybe there are like that small handful of insignificant random nobodies that are saying he should be canceled, but never in the scope that conservatives are framing it, that Democrats or Joe Biden or liberals or SJWs all want Dr. Seuss to be canceled. That's pretty much a bit of a myth right there. Yes, it's wait, hold on a sec. Kevin McCarthy? You mean the GOP minority house leader? That guy's demanding to be canceled? I don't know, that's honestly kind of crazy, but really, that's honestly a bit of a shock. But you get what I mean, though. That the whole point that I am trying to make with all this is that, again, this is all making a mountain out of a molehill, and it's all just speculation based on things that people hear. Because there are no large groups of liberals or SJWs that are demanding for the cancellation of the Cat in the Hat or for Dr. Seuss in general. And it's ridiculous the way that right now we are seeing these large groups of people that are trying to use Dr. Seuss as a weapon to fight against cancel culture. That in order to combat cancel culture, you gotta go and consume as many Dr. Seuss books as possible. That you gotta go and buy The Cat in the Hat, you gotta keep them relevant, you gotta buy Green Eggs and Ham, you gotta buy all the books possible in order to fight against cancel culture to make sure nothing else gets canceled again. It's ridiculous the way that they are approaching this. And you know the biggest irony of this? The biggest irony of the fact that you can honestly tell that these people have no idea what cancel culture is in the first place is the fact that what they are essentially doing is rewarding Dr. Seuss Enterprises for that decision that they consider to be cancel culture. Yes, what I am saying is that conservatives are rewarding cancel culture for something that they don't want for cancel culture to affect or to happen. Because really think about this. What is their reaction what is their response of the fact that there are a few Dr. Seuss books that they've most likely never heard of that are no longer being published? They're going out of their way to really inflate their consumerism and just buy Dr. Seuss books. And like the grand majority of them right now, they're not even the ones that are not on this list. It's the popular ones like Grinch, Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, and all that kind of stuff. Then right now, they're at the point where like a good chunk of the Dr. Seuss books are actually among the best sellers right now on websites like Amazon. And like the grand majority of them are not even the ones that are even canceled. And yet they're saying that reading stuff like Cat in the Hat is a way to fight against cancel culture. Like a Dr. Seuss book a day keeps the cancel culture away. And yet the thing that they are doing is that they're basically throwing their money towards Dr. Seuss Enterprises for a decision that they made. It was their choice. They were not forced by liberals or SJWs or whatever. It was their own decision that they have done themselves in order to stay, in order to keep up with the current times, in order to keep up with the modern viewpoints of people of color, and to reflect upon their views on racism, that technically they are people who do support people of color, that they are fighters of equality, and they are, in a way, or as in a way you could say, Black Lives Matter members, that they are taking away racist depictions of black people in order to be more accepting for black people to come in and read their books comfortably. It's their decision, and yet they're being rewarded for it by the people who hated that decision in the first place. That would be the equivalent, like back in the time when Gina Carano was fired from The Mandalorian and from Lucasfilm altogether, the way that the conservatives and Gina Carano fans, the way they would respond would be like if they would go and tell people to buy Disney Plus, to go and watch as many Star Wars content as possible, and to go buy as much Star Wars merchandise possible as a way to deflect cancel culture. And ultimately, all they're doing is just basically throwing Disney and Lucasfilm their money because of their decision of firing Gina Carano. That would be like the same kind of situation that they are doing right now with the Cat in the Hat. And overall, I personally feel like this whole Cat in the Hat situation really does reflect upon the fact that cancel culture has really become a serious problem, but not in the way that you may think. It's more of an issue because of how cancel culture is pretty much like the modern version of The Sky is Falling from Chicken Little. They can scream around cancel culture, but all it is just a stupid acorn that landed on their head and really blowing things out of proportion and making people panic for what is essentially nothing. And I could say this right now, that like these people who are saying that this is cancel culture in terms of Dr. Seuss and stuff like that, this really is a major reason why many people nowadays don't even believe cancel culture exists, because conservatives have no idea what cancel culture is. It really does feel like it keeps on changing the definition. And nowadays, I think I already said this before, but it really does feel like almost every other day there's just something that these people are freaking out that is getting canceled. Like The Muppet Show, for example. Is that getting canceled? No, you could still watch it on Disney Plus. It's just that it has a 10-second content warning before a few episodes, and apparently that is considered cancel culture. What about Mr. Potato Head? No, that is not cancel culture, because you could still buy some potato heads right there. It's just that they decided to change their brand name so that it's more gender neutral. And with Dr. Seuss, is that getting canceled? No, you could still buy all the books you want. It's just that there are a handful of them that are no longer going to be available in terms of new issues that are out in the market anymore. You could still rent them in the library. You could still buy them off on eBay. But it's just that there won't be new copies of those books anymore. And even nowadays, like I'm starting to hear, like today, just before starting this podcast, I actually heard that apparently these same people are freaking out that there might be a chance that Pepe Le Pew might be canceled because of a New York Times article criticizing Pepe Le Pew. It really is ridiculous with the way that cancel culture seems to constantly be changing its definition. And this is why people can't really take the term cancel culture seriously. And it has really become this boy who cried wolf scenario. And you know what this is overall? like this whole scenario, like, I'm trying to find, like, some kind of logic or reason to this whole thing, to this Matt's Pariah of cancel culture and Dr. Seuss. And you know what this is? This is nothing more but a distraction. It really is. It's to distract people from the real problems that are happening in the world, and it's a distraction from conservative pundits like Ben Shapiro and Fox News and what have you. It's all a distraction from them, from the reality of how Republican politicians are so incompetent at their jobs that they cannot do anything correct, and that they are the enemy of the people. It's not the press, it really is these Republican politicians. The fact that they don't want anyone to have $15 an hour minimum wage. The fact that they're trying to ban that. And how ironic is it that they're saying they're against cancel culture and they're doing everything they can in order to cancel the idea of $15 an hour minimum wage. There is also the factor of the pandemic. We're still in a freaking pandemic, people, and worrying about Dr. Seuss should be the freaking least of your problems. We're still in a pandemic. We still need to wear masks. We still need to do everything we can to keep everyone safe. And yet, you got these idiots like Texas Governor Greg Abbott and a few other states that feel like even though they're not prepared whatsoever, they feel like it's safe to reopen everything 100%, which is going to be a disastrous result that could cause another spike in cases. That Joe Biden said it best, that this is nothing more but Neanderthal thinking. And especially with the way that, considering, speaking of Texas, by the way, it's already enough that Texas is already going through, they already went through one disaster, now they're going to go through another with Greg Abbott's decision. And especially the fact that it's the Democrats who are doing everything they can to make sure that all these people in Texas are safe and secure during that snowstorm, with people like Beto O'Rourke and Alexia Cortez raising millions of dollars to ensure their safety, to ensure their well-being and everything, while incompetent idiots, anti-Americans like Ted Cruz decided to go and freaking travel to Cancun during this time to run away from the problem instead of helping those people out. And that is just a handful of examples to present the incompetencies of the Republican government right there, and why it pretty much should, like, this is pretty much a full-on example as to why is it no Republican politician should even be allowed to even work in freaking politics, because they have no freaking idea what they're doing. They're only doing it for themselves and not for the people. It's honestly ridiculous, and this is nothing more but a distraction, especially with the fact that this is a pandemic. This whole thing about cancel culture, really, this is nothing more but paranoia. We are pretty much at a point where cancel culture is pretty much such an unhealthy thing to be obsessed over. And people who are freaking out about these things, they sound like freaking lunatics. Like, really think about it. Right now, these people who are panicking about cancel culture, they're running around screaming, "We need to stop cancel culture because they're gonna take away our guns, they're gonna take away our Mr. Potato Head toys, and they're gonna take away our Dr. Seuss books." What kind of mentally stable human being would go and say that? It's ridiculous, man. And especially in the fact, again, I know I've said this a lot of times, but we are in a damn pandemic, yo. We're pretty much in a time where we have to, we need to prioritize what is most important. And what is most important right now, more so than a Dr. Seuss book or even the economy, is the health and well-being of others, to make sure everyone is safe and that everyone has a good system that can be strong enough in order to go and fight off against the COVID-19 virus. That's what we should be focusing on right now. Those are the real issues that we need to focus on. Not freaking Cat in the Hat, not Mr. Potato Head, not the Muppets, not Pepe Le Pew, not any of that shit right now, okay? It's not like cancel culture should be a low priority. It's nothing more but first world problems. This is, in fact, I would even go as far and say this is nothing more but white privilege problems. That's not an issue. Yes, cancel culture can be very problematic. I agree with you there. But the conservative definition of cancel culture and the way that they are treating it, like the Boy Who Cried Wolf story, it just makes it a non-issue. They're nothing more but freaking distractions from the real problems that we need to go and resolve right now. And that's what frustrates me about this whole controversy right there. It's really such a massive example of how cancel culture is nothing more but a worthless distraction from the real issues out there, and how you got these idiot, incompetent pundits that shouldn't even be allowed to have social media in the first place, like Greg Abbott, Ben Shapiro, Fox News, and whatever, that they're all trying to distract people from the real problems that are going on in the world, that they're trying to combat it, and they know what they're doing. They know the reason why that they're upset is because they want to actually normalize racism. That many of these people, they want racism to actually be normalized. They want racism to actually be okay. In fact, Greg Abbott, with his response to reopening Texas 100%, he's just gonna go, like, he knows that if things don't go well, he's just gonna pin the blame on immigrants and say that it's the open borders that's the problem, not the fact that he opened everything 100%. Because especially for American conservatives that still support Donald Trump and still have that mentality, it's much easier to be racist and xenophobic than it is to put a piece of cloth on their face. So overall, this is ridiculous. It really is. It's such a non-issue that they're desperately trying to make a big deal in order to distract people from actually doing the right thing, to actually focus on the real issues. And yet they know that Republican politicians are incapable of doing that. So all they can do is just make stuff up, turn a non-issue into an issue, and try to make cancel culture look like some kind of evil conspiracy. And that's nothing more. It's nothing but this dumb QAnon type conspiracy theory. And that's all it is, really. Like, for me personally, I don't really care because I never grew up with And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street. I never read Miguel Gets Pool. I don't think I'm really missing much with those books, so really, it's nothing more but a distraction, people. And overall, if there is a moral to this story, like, whatever you may think about cancel culture, it's not that big of a deal. Especially during this pandemic, there are more bigger issues than trying to combat cancel culture over minor luxuries. And that's really the biggest problem. It's just like with cancel culture, they're just targeting like these pointless luxuries that we can live without. Even if it is the case that those things are canceled, we could actually go and live without them. So really, it's just grow up, people. Like, who cares? Really, cancel culture is not that big of an issue, or at least the way that you're trying to portray it. Like, it's not a big issue. And if you really think cancel culture is that big of a problem, get some help. Like, I know it sounds bad, but honestly, get some help. No person should constantly be living in paranoia and in fear over the next minor thing that could possibly be canceled. No one should, really. You're just being manipulated by right-wing pundits who try to tell you to think how they want you to think. That's really the big thing. Like, cancel culture is not your enemy. It's the right-wing pundits that are your enemy. It's Ben Shapiro that's your enemy. It's Fox News that's your enemy. It's Republican politicians like Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz that's your enemy. Those are the real problems. But no, you gotta focus on just your freaking children's books that chances are you're not even reading anymore. Seriously, man, grow up. Oh boy. Now that is a lot in my system now. Oh boy. So now let's go and talk about, let's go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what are your thoughts on the whole Dr. Seuss controversy? What are your thoughts on this? Because I know I've said my piece. I think it's time you could say yours. Alright. It's no big deal, but why can't we leave books, movies, and shows alone? Who cares if it's not appropriate to today's standards now? People must get over it, even if these books were made during a time where it's kind of subject matter wasn't that offensive, like World War II, for example. Instead of covering stuff like censoring or banning, just preserve this stuff and learn from it and what not to do with modern stories. Do not censor history or stories because it's just plain wrong. This is not censorship, though. That's what I've been trying to say. None of this is censorship. This is not being censored. This is not being banned. This is not being canceled. You could still go, like I said, you could still find it. You could still go find it in your library. You could still buy a book on eBay. You could still look it up online, and you could read the story and see the images. None of this is being censored whatsoever. That's just a freaking manipulative mentality. There's nothing here that's being canceled. Seriously, man, if you're still taking away that this is still a freaking that Dr. Seuss is being canceled, then I can't help you, man. Like you're still being like highly manipulative, and you're really the kind of person that still believes in everything you hear on and read on the internet. Let's see. I remember that and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, but I don't remember reading the other Dr. Seuss books. I understand why the company had to not publish the books that depict outdated racism and other stuff then in them. But I don't think it is the end of Dr. Seuss, because there might be some books that Dr. Seuss made might be published to the public. And there is an anime called Barefoot Gen where it shows the history of the bombing of Hiroshima, and it's dark and depressing. Oh yeah, I am fully aware of Barefoot Gen, and yeah, it's a good movie, but it's not a it's not a pleasant film. I'm just gonna say that. While I'm not a Dr. Seuss fan, those books are very outdated and need to go. Also, if you want to know racism in the 1900s, look up H.P. Lovecraft's views on other races, because that's one insanity after another. And you want a better example of cancel culture, look up false accusations at VivziePop. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say right now, the people who say they're against cancel culture are the same kind of people who would want to use cancel culture for themselves in order to go after people like VivziePop. And that's the sad reality of it. These people who claim they hate cancel culture, they don't actually hate cancel culture. They want it to be a conservative privilege. Because it's kind of ironic that these people claim they hate cancel culture, yet they try to do everything they can in order to cancel the 2020 election because Donald Trump didn't win. I'm just saying. And yeah, as for H.P. Lovecraft, now that is an example of a dude who is undeniably racist. Yeah, Dr. Seuss ain't racist, but Lovecraft definitely is. And if you don't believe me, look at the name of his cat, and you will see the yikes on that one. Oh boy. Let's see now. This is just ridiculous. This just proves that these kinds of people don't know what they are talking about. People who say cancel culture is an issue needs mental help. Also, am I the only one who thinks the Texas joke from SpongeBob makes more sense than you think, considering the stuff happens in Texas? You know, I wouldn't really go that far. I know a lot of people have this massive hatred over Texas because of that decision, but really, no, it's not. Like, I'm not gonna go as far as, like, attack Texans and say, like, oh, it's a deep red state and everyone in Texas is stupid. No, it's just that they have incompetent Republican politicians, and it really goes to show why, like, it really is a prominent example of why there should be no Republicans to be allowed to work as politicians in a state like Texas, or in the United States in general, or pretty much around the world, because fuck nationalism, and nationalism needs to die. It needs to be banned. Like, if there's one thing that needs to be canceled, it's freaking nationalism altogether. Alright, let's see what else we got. The only one of these books I've read is If I Ran the Zoo. We're not missing any classic books. Stop saying it's a bad thing. You don't care about these books. I don't care about these books. Who gives a shit? We're still getting the Dr. Seuss classics from generations to enjoy. There's much bigger issues out there. Grow the hell up, you useless sack of disease. And this person actually does, as harsh as this person is, they do bring up a very good point. Because the grand majority, almost everyone who's freaking out about this controversy, they don't care about these books. Because again, there's no one out there who is upset about this controversy because of the fact that they can no longer buy the Cat's Quizzer or McElligot's Pool. Let's see now. Where was I? Oh wait, what is this? A lot of these anti-cancel complaints can be reflected in Mr. Enter's problematic video, Everything is Offensive. Everything's offensive! Everything makes me fully triggered at large. Everything's offensive. Anyways, the withdrawal of a few works from for certain reasons isn't taking away Dr. Seuss, Disney, Looney Tunes, or whatever, or trying to ruin people's enjoyment of them. It's more archiving said works for those who are mentally and intellectually mature enough to handle certain realities, including the ones that all of us are guilty of more than we may ever realize. It's a dark truth right there, dude. Let's see now. I'll go and read 2 more comments before we jump into the grand finale. I've never even heard of these books, so I don't think I'll be crying myself to sleep over this. I will say this, however, that as crazy as the response is, it isn't as confusing as the whole Potato Head debacle. No joke. I've heard one guy say, Mr. Potato Head was meant to be this big, strong, muscular man. No, he's a leftist. And I just gotta say, it's a potato. That was off topic, sure, but to wrap up, if you're seriously complaining about Dr. Seuss, then in the words of Michael, I don't, the comment unfortunately just stops there. We don't know the words of Michael, but yeah, you do bring up a freaking good point. Like if you're really this upset over, if you're upset over the idea of Dr. Seuss being canceled, you are way too privileged for your own good. Like, you seriously need to go and live in a third world country right now to understand life as we know it, because you're way too comfortable in your own luxuries. Let's see, we got one more comment to go. People often say that Walt Disney was against people's race. Now they learned a bit about the good doctor's true face. It's funny to see so many people get so mad. It just makes them all simply look bad. It makes sense that they would pull these books. People of other races are given such a bad look. But perhaps the greatest thing I've learned while I continue to rhyme is that writing all this just takes too much of my time. I just realized when reading it was like, oh, you're going with the Dr. Seuss thing. Yeah, oh my god. The fact that you're able to do that on a freaking Twitch stream, like, that is quite impressive. You deserve a freaking cookie there, dude. Yeah. Okay, yeah. The person said that it's in the words of Michael Jordan. So basically, I'll conclude this story by pretty much, the person actually did conclude his comment. It's to repeat the words of Michael Jordan. If you're really that obsessed about cancel culture and worried about cancel culture taking away your things, stop it. Get some help. And now it is time that we shall go into the grand finale. And with this grand finale, we shall be jumping onto another controversy. But this time around, it won't be as stupid as the conservative response to cancel culture and Dr. Seuss, but still something that I think will end off on a lighter note with some hilarious stupidity about this controversy. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about Lola Bunny. Yes, Lola Bunny has been reported to get a new look for the highly anticipated Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now, what basically happened this week was that apparently Entertainment Weekly decided to go and release some new images from the movie Space Jam: A New Legacy. And from there, this is pretty much our first look into what's going to be happening in the movie, even giving a little bit of a synopsis. But one thing people really did notice the most is actually regarding the design of Lola Bunny, where they noticed that she's a lot more different than how she was in the first film. Here in this picture, this is Lola in the first one, like a little bit more seductive, kind of like a sexy girl. And then here is the new one over here, which you may tell is a little bit more different than the previous design in the first Space Jam film. And that was actually done on purpose by the filmmakers, who felt that Lola Bunny didn't really have much in the first Space Jam movie. In fact, she was nothing more but a sex object. In fact, to read a quote here from Malcolm D. Lee, reading from my source here on Entertainment Weekly, he says, Lola Bunny was very sexualized, like Betty Boop mixed with Jessica Rabbit. Lola was not politically correct. This is a kid's movie. Why is she in a crop top? It just felt unnecessary, but at the same time, there's a long history of that in cartoons. He does bring up a good point, like that's kind of like a whole different story altogether. He even continued on by saying, This is 2021. It's important to reflect the authenticity of strong, capable female characters. She probably has the most human characteristics of the Toons. She just doesn't have a thing like a carrot or a lisp or a stutter. So we reworked a lot of things. Not only her look, like making sure she has an appropriate length on her shorts and was feminine without being objectified, but gave her a real voice. For us, it was let's ground her athletic prowess, her leadership skills, and make her as full of a character as possible. So basically, they want to take Lola Bunny and turn her a little bit more into Wonder Woman per se. In fact, that's actually going to be a component in the movie, quite literally. Now, if you don't know what I mean, actually, it was revealed that how they are going to introduce Lola in A New Legacy is that they're literally going to go into the same Amazon as Wonder Woman, where they will actually find Lola. And that's the big thing with Lola Bunny right now, is the fact that she is less sexualized and be a little bit more as a natural character, or more of a character that has a personality. Now, keep in mind, this is not necessarily the first time that this actually happened, considering that they have done this before with, what was it again? With the Looney Tunes show, where Lola Bunny was completely rebooted and given a brand new look that is far different than how she was portrayed in the Space Jam movie. And so far, this was a massive discussion that we got on the internet that's still going on to this day, that people are just freaking out over the look of Lola, and even a bit controversial of the fact that this Lola right here is not as attractive as the one we got in the first Space Jam movie. In fact, I just need to say this right now. Probably the funniest comment that I've seen about the new Lola Bunny that's kind of like criticizing her is that people are saying that the new Lola looks a bit more like Slappy Squirrel from Animaniacs, which I honestly find that to be really, really funny. In a way, I can pretty much imagine, like, one thing I would love to see, like, I don't think they've done it, but, like, it would be amazing if they decided to reboot Lola Bunny so that she would have the exact same personality as Slappy Squirrel. You know, she would be going around the basketball court like some guys are still ogling at her, and she would just look at them and say, "If you guys call me doll one more time, yeah, I'll slap you in the butt with my foot." I don't know, I just find that so hilarious. And like, yeah, you can see a little bit of Slappy Squirrel in Lola. But yeah, that's pretty much the big thing, is that some people are really making that much of a fuss over the fact that Lola Bunny is not as attractive as she was in the first film. In fact, one thing that seems to be actually ridiculous is that there are some people who are so mad about this that they try to really demonize this new Lola and try to say that, like, the classic Lola is better than the new Lola because she's much hotter. And ironically, that picture that is being shared is not a picture from the actual movie, but instead it was a fan art that was being shared that presented Lola a lot more sexy, a lot more busty, and all that kind of stuff. And for that one, honestly, I couldn't help myself but look at all those commenters and look at all those people being upset, and I have to ask, what are you intending to do when you're gonna go and watch Space Jam: A New Legacy? Like, what is it that you're trying to plan to do? Like, obviously you got the hots for Lola, but why is it that you're so mad that she's not as attractive as you want her to be? If she is that attractive, what would you want to do? Because I'm going to say this right now, even though I haven't seen it, I know for a fact that Space Jam: A New Legacy is not the type of movie that you need private time whenever you see the sexy bunny come in. I'm just saying. And by the way, I just want to put up I just want to go and put out a clarification right now that when it does come to Lola, when it does come to like people being attracted to Lola, that I have no problems whatsoever. I am not kink shaming you whatsoever. If you think Lola Bunny is attractive, if you find her sexy, if you find her hot, that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly fine. Like, you do you. I am not kink shaming you whatsoever. We all have our personal things, and you can have your personal thing also. So if you think Lola Bunny is sexy, then more power to you, man. I'm not going to take that away from you. But what I am concerned about, what does have me worried, is when people are really going out of their way to be massively upset of the fact that the new Lola is not as attractive as the Lola that they are now. I mean, why? Like, why is this something that you're so upset about? It's not like she's not going to be showing the goods in the Space Jam movie. She didn't even do that in the original Space Jam. What makes you think that she'll show off some of her stuff in Space Jam 2? It's ridiculous. It's like, this is such a non-issue. I don't get why it's something that you would have to be that upset about. If you're really that desperate to see a Lola Bunny, go to freaking Google Images. Search up Lola Bunny. You can find a whole plethora of images. And not only that, you can actually go and find those where it takes it a step beyond than what they've presented in the Space Jam movies, that she could be a little bit more, not safe for work per se. You can actually go and do that. You can actually go and do that. You could actually just go and look it up. In fact, go to DeviantArt, look up Lola Bunny, and you'll have a massive list of Lola Bunny images that are basically either safe for work or not safe for work, because let's be honest, DeviantArt at this point has become a porn site. But also, at the same time though, I just want to mention, if you truly want to have the Lola Bunny of your dreams to be exactly how you envision her in your head, then you can always go and commission an artist for that. There are plenty of very talented, not safe for work artists that would be more than happy to give you your commission, your ideal Lola Bunny. And not to mention, you can make some little adjustments to her if you want her with a bigger booty, if you want her with a bigger bust, if you want to change her appearance a little bit, make her bigger, make her thinner, or whatever. You can go and do that. You can ask an artist to go and actually commission that for you. Yeah, you might pay a little bit of a fee, but that's kind of the point. At least you would go and support a talented artist, and at the same time, you can go and live your fantasies of seeing a beautiful Lola the way that you would love to go and imagine it. So honestly, that's why I just feel like it makes no sense to go and complain about something like this. Like, why are you so upset about Lola not being that attractive? And not to mention the fact that I have seen people who are actually in support of this new Lola. In fact, honestly, I remember just before, another thing that I saw just before starting this is actually there's this TikTok by Jax Blade where he actually made this TikTok where he did discuss about this controversy, and he mentioned how he viewed it as a good thing because not only does it bring up the relevancy of Lola Bunny once again, not only does it make her popular, but it's also encouraging artists to go and make their quote-unquote perfect depiction of Lola. So if you want to see a lot more sexy Lola, you could go and find it online till your heart's content. So you can have like the classic gear of Lola, or you can have the new gear of Lola, and you can pretty much be happy from there. So you got your options, so you know it's all out there. That's why I just find it's not that much of a big issue. If you're gonna go and see the movie, just go and see it for the movie. If you want sexy Lola time, then go online, go on DeviantArt, go on Google to have your sexy Lola time. There are two different things. There's a time and place to be horny, but Space Jam is certainly not one of them. Okay, so I think with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about Lola's new look? Do you enjoy her new look? Do you think she looks better? Do you think she looks worse? Which Lola do you prefer? Let me know what you think on this. Let's see. Honestly, the reaction towards the new Lola is stupid. While Looney Tunes show Lola is my favorite, especially when she dresses like Lara Croft, I like this new design. Sure, her breasts are on the smaller side, but her hips look nice. She's got thicker thighs, and that's fine by me. There you go. Like, at least you can find some positives in there if you want. Whatever tickles your fancy, per se. Let's see. I have to admit that Lola Bunny's new design doesn't look too bad, but her original design was much better. But I wouldn't blame anyone for But I wouldn't blame everyone for body shaming Lola since they made her less attractive, because I find Lola to be sexy. Okay, I gotta stop you right there. No. Number one, no. Body shaming is just bad no matter what. Like, if you're doing body shaming, no matter what the context is, not good. Let's see. And I am pretty excited to see Space Jam 2 coming to theaters and HBO Max, but I wouldn't go too far because I feel like this movie is gonna do another Ready Player One direction, so I wouldn't get my hopes up high. To which Lola, which Lola would you prefer? Me, personally? If I don't know. Honestly, for me, I'm not into Lola. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not a furry person myself, so honestly, that depends. Make me a human Lola, then we can talk. I don't really have that much of a preference. I don't really care much for Lola, so honestly, that's why I find this controversy to be quite dumb. Especially the fact that you could just go online and you could find all the Lolas that you want. Okay. Let's see. No joke. I've heard one guy say Lola is going to be the villain of Space Jam 2. So yeah, why would she be in the movie? And I'm just going to say that it's just a freaking Space Jam character. But if you're complaining about Space Jam, then stop it. Get some help. Space Jam is basically Avengers Infinity War for younger kids. It's not objectively good, but it'll be fun to watch. Well, I mean, that's going to be a wait-and-see kind of thing, but yeah, I don't think Lola is going to be the villain. I think they already established that it's going to be a random bunch of crossovers like Joker and Pennywise and The Mask or something like that. I don't know. I heard the plot is going to be purely insane. Let's see what else we got here. Are people really mad about this? Who am I kidding? It's the internet. People will be mad at pretty much anything. Did you guys forget about the last story? People are getting mad over freaking Dr. Seuss books. Of course people would get mad over this. I am just curious if they will make Lola actually funny, since she really didn't have any humor in the original movie, and I do enjoy her personality in the Looney Tunes show. Now, if you excuse me, I need to send the horny people and furries on Twitter to horny jail. Every last one of them! Yeah, good luck with that, pal. You try, I know you, man. I know you keep on trying to put me in horny jail. You can't keep me locked up forever, boy! Okay, let's see now. I only saw the first Space Jam once and didn't thought about Lola because it felt like it wasn't important other than an extended cameo, and to be honest, I kind of didn't find her attractive. So I'm fine with her redesign in the sequel and hope she's more of a strong female character rather than a sexy woman rabbit. Other than that, the other shots look pretty cool, especially with the CGI of Bugs Bunny. Alright, so I'll go and read one more comment before we before we conclude this. I honestly cannot wait for Space Jam: A New Legacy. All the references to other Warner Brothers movies really sold me to see it. As for Lola in the sequel, I think she will look great. I just hope they improve her character development. And that's one thing that we can all agree that it's pretty much a good thing, that we could sacrifice sexiness for an actual personality. And overall, if there is one moral lesson that we should take from this, please go and support your fellow not safe for work artists, because they definitely need the money to go and help out themselves and in order to live, because they would make some amazing artwork out there, and plus they will go and help you out to go and live your fantasies. So please go and support your fellow and your local not safe for work artists out there. Alright, so with that said and done, man, what a big episode this was, but thank you so much for watching this episode of Animat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. My god, we almost got to 2 hours and a half on this. It's a pretty crazy thing. But with that said, though, hopefully next week we will see more craziness occurring. Hopefully less stupidity, but still the same kind of craziness. So with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes.